Hello, BookTube. Who's up for a mail haul? A nice, peaceful, uneventful, uninterrupted mail haul. uh, Here, a nice, peaceful Hyde Cottage, restored to normalcy after a horrible interruption. So let's rifle through the mail as if the horrible interruption had never happened. Uh, so what have we got here? This is from Harvard University Press. Comes out in February, and it is The Republic of Arabic Letters. The subtitle is Islam and the European Enlightenment, and it is by Alexander Bevilacqua, who is an assistant professor of history at Williams College. In the 16th and 18th centuries, a pioneering community of Christian scholars laid the groundwork for the modern Western understanding of Islamic civilization. These men produced the first accurate translation of the Quran into English, into a European language, mapped the branches of the Islamic arts and sciences, and wrote Muslim history using Arabic sources. The Republic of Arabic Letters reconstructs this process, revealing the influence of Catholic and Protestant intellectuals on the secular Enlightenment understanding of Islam and its written traditions. Drawing on Arabic, English, French, German, Italian, and Latin sources, the author's rich intellectual history retraces the roots, both mental and physical, that Christian scholars traveled to acquire, study, and comprehend Arabic manuscripts. That sounds fascinating. Wow. Oh, this is good Lord. Look at the size of the notes. The notes section is huge. All right, so this is a serious work of history. Great. Fantastic. And this comes out in February, so I don't have to think about it yet. But it's a mighty fine start to our nice, peaceful mail haul. So let's move on. What is this next one here? No boxes this time around, but the day could still have boxes. I'm fairly certain this won't be the only mail haul of the day, so we shall see. Great. Okay, I requested this. Comes out in March, and it's by Paul Collins, and it's called Absolute Power: How the Pope Became the Most Influential Man in the World. The sensational story of the last 2 centuries of the papacy. In 1799, the papacy was at rock bottom. The papal states had been swept away, and Rome seized by the revolutionary French armies. With cardinals scattered across Europe and the next papal election uncertain, even if Catholicism survived, it seemed the papacy was finished. In this gripping narrative of religious and political history, the author tells the improbable success story of the last 220 years, from the unexalted death of Pope Pius VI in 1799 to the celebrity of Pope Francis today. Fascinating. Oh, fascinating. All right, we're 2 for 2. Let's move on here. We don't have a box, but these get bigger as they go along. So let's see here. Let's see what the next one is. Oh, all right. I requested this as well. This is Robert Curson. This is Rocket Man. The subtitle is The Daring Odyssey of Apollo 8 and the astronauts who made man's first journey to the moon, which is coming up on an anniversary. What do we got here? Do we have a... No, we don't. In early 1968, the Apollo space program was on shaky footing. President Kennedy's end-of-the-decade deadline to put a man on the moon was in jeopardy, and the Soviets were threatening to pull ahead in the space race. So it was capital S and capital R there, and most of you aren't going to know what that is. You'll have to Google it. You won't remember it. But, it was thrilling. In its own way, it was thrilling. By August, with its back against the wall, NSA decided to scrap its usual methodical approach and shoot for the heavens. During Christmas 1968, with just 4 months to prepare, mankind would make the first journey to the moon. Okay. Mankind didn't. America did. But that's okay. In a year of half of mankind or more in 1968 would have been ideologically opposed to doing it. It wasn't mankind that went to the moon. It was America that went to the moon. In a year of historic violence and discord, the Apollo 8 mission was the boldest, riskiest test of what America could do. With a focus on astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders and their wives and children, Rocket Men is a gripping You Are There narrative that shows anew the epic danger involved and the singularly bravery it took for a man to leave Earth for the first time and arrive at a new world. I am a big fan of the Apollo missions. I've read everything there is to read about them, and the line there, that mention to show anew the epic danger involved, is an element that is often left out or underplayed in quick thumbnail popular histories of the Apollo missions, and it shouldn't be. It's astonishing how dangerous it was, how many technical hurdles had to be overcome with what we today would consider to be stone knives and bearskins. And the only demonstration you need of how remarkable it was is that now, all these years, 50 years later, we're not doing it. We're not going to the moon. And if you were to ask, if you were to ask a lot of reactionary politicians, especially the reactionary politicians in this country who believe that the United States was founded on the Ten Commandments and that the Earth is 6,000 years old, if you were to ask them, they would say that that the obstacle is money, that there just isn't money to do it. But if you were to ask a lot of scientists, the answer would be, well, that a lot of the obstacles are technical. This is frightfully dangerous. And this is all this time later. It's astonishing that it happened in the first place. And it makes for great reading. I have no idea how this will read, but I can't wait to do it. It also comes out in the new year, though, so all of these so far are dead-on hits, but all of them are also things I don't have to think about. I guess we're going to get more and more of those as November and December move on. I don't think I'll get many more. Actually, on this channel, I don't think I'll get many more 2017 releases, which is kind of strange. It feels like just a minute ago that we were getting... still getting 2016 releases and talking about 2017. Oh, well, will you look at that? All right, well, okay, here's a 2017 release. And it's a long time in the coming, young lady. I have been waiting at the door for this book for weeks. Here it is. This is The Revolution of Marina M by Janet Fitch, the author of White Oleander. It's a great, big thing, gigantic novel. That is her latest thing. Comes out in early November. And it is a sweeping historical saga of the Russian Revolution, as seen through the eyes of one young woman. In St. Petersburg, New Year's Eve, 1916, Marina Makarova is a young woman of privilege who aches to break free of the constraints of her genteel life, a life about to be upended by the vast forces of history. Swept up on these tides of great change, Marina will join the marches for women's rights, fall in love with a radical young poet, and betray everything she holds dear before being betrayed in turn. As her country goes through almost unimaginable upheaval, Marina's own coming of age unfolds, marked by deep passion and devastating loss, and the private heroism of an ordinary woman living through extraordinary times. So this is well-timed, because the 2017 is, of course, the glut period for writing of all kinds about the Russian Revolution. And this is a gigantic novel from a best-selling author directly on that subject. And I have been waiting for it because I'd like to review it. And now here it is. So great. It's a finished copy. And then we've got this last one here. It's slopping around a little, so it might be more than one book. We could end with a double feature here. Let's see. It is more than one book. Okay, great. All right. So, oh, great. Okay, I requested this. Good. Excellent. All right, this is going to be a surefire mail haul. That's great to get us back in track. This is Mark Greaney. It's Agent in Place, a Gray Man novel. I think I've praised this author on this channel before, but it was probably a long time ago. The Gray Man is a fantastic recurring adventure story character. The world's most dangerous assassin, the Gray Man, because he was working for the agency when all of a sudden they cut him loose and turned on him, and that made him persona non grata. It made him a non-person who had to be a non-person in order to survive. I don't know how much of this is gonna tell. This comes out in February. To destabilize the Syrian regime, A group of expats in Paris hires court gentry to kidnap the mistress of dictator Ahmed Azam. But his job doesn't end there. Bianca Medina soon reveals that she has given birth to a son, the only heir to the rule, and a potent threat to the Syrian president's powerful wife. Now, to get Bianca's cooperation, Court must bring her son out of Syria alive, a mission putting him in the right place at the right time to take a shot at bringing one of the most brutal dictatorships on earth to a close. And it doesn't tell more than that. The cover has, a small alleyway with one furtive figure and a bomb blast going off. It doesn't tell you more than that, and it also doesn't ground you much on who the Gray Man is. If I remember, I think I reviewed the last Gray Man novel. If I remember correctly, I'll put a link to it down below. But it's Mark Greaney is just so good at writing espionage / techno thrillers. They're just so good. He does a great job. If you like this sort of thing, you're not going to get it done much better than this. #1 New York Times bestselling author of Gunmetal Gray, and Gunmetal Gray is, I believe, the one that I reviewed. It's the first Gray Man novel that I encountered. Okay, great, fantastic. Oh, all right, okay. The second book, when I requested Agent in Place, the publicist says, okay, yes, fine, I'll send you a copy, and also I'll include another book, which if you like Mark Greaney, you're going to love this one. As I've mentioned on this channel before, a lot of times in the past I've gotten really good recommendations that way from publicists who, on one level, you would think, well, they're the last person that you want to trust because it's their job to sell the book. But once you get to know them, I've often found that when they put forward something, when they say, you requested this, I'd also like to recommend this to you, one way or another, if just to take a look at it. I've often found that those requests bear out, and so we have another techno thriller. This is a debut. It comes out in April, and it's called Warning Lights by David Ricciardi. Wow. Okay. And Mark Greaney has a blurb on the back. Okay, so what have we got here? A commercial flight with mechanical issues makes an emergency landing in Iran. CIA analyst, never trained as a field agent, is in the race of his life. That's all you need to know to walk into Warning Light. Okay, that's very good. That's a very good way to start a pub sheet, is minimal. That you don't need to know anything except the basic premise to just go forward. But do we know anything more about it? I mean, it's something now that you've done that. Here we go. Okay, Warning Light takes off with a bang as a new covert operator by the name of Zach Miller enters the scene, literally flying out of the radar on a job for the CIA. Zach finds himself amid a mission gone wrong and soon embarks on a globe-trotting epic in order to clear his own name and set the record straight before he can be captured by the Iranian government, or a litany of enemies he makes along the way to get back to his bosses and save his own skin. With a crafty, daring protagonist reminiscent of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. Okay, Jack Ryan's not very crafty, but that's all right. Robert Ludlum's Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne is not very crafty, but that's all right. Or even Jack Bauer from 24. Jack Bauer is not very crafty. All of these people are walking crowbars. Warning Light grabs hold of readers and never lets go until the very last sentence. Okay. Do we know anything about David Ricciardi? He's young. There he is. There's our author, our debut author. And there's one of these pre-included interview things. I never know how useful anybody else finds them. I usually just throw them out, but I wonder how useful other reviews. I imagine people in live arts like TV, a segment producer, something like that, would find this very useful. And the first question is, how would you describe Warning Light? And the author says, it's really a tale of survival. It's the story of a man pitted against a hostile government, a hostile environment, and abandoned by his own support network. His reputation is deeply tarnished, and he discovers that he can rely on no one but himself. All right, well, okay. So Warning Light is the book that was recommended to me in addition to Agent in Place. So fantastic. All right, so let's get this thing back with its book. All right, so there are no duds in this pile unless Warning Light is one of them. Well, actually, all of these things could be duds, but in terms of snagging my interest, they're all exactly as you would expect since I requested them all. But so we have two techno thrillers, Warning Shot and Agent in Place. Then at long last we have The Revolution of Marina M. By Janet Fitch, which I've been waiting for. Then Rocket Men, a story of the Apollo 8 mission. Then Absolute Power, which follows the role of the Pope in international politics from the absolute rock bottom to the present pinnacle, where his least utterance is broadcast all over the world, and where you would think that if a presidential candidate insulted him, the presidential candidate would lose the race, no matter what religion the presidential candidate was, or even if the presidential candidate was rather obviously atheist. But you can never be sure. And the last one is the Republic of Arabic Letters, which is about despite the drift of the title, it sounds like it's about the shift of, like, the discovery and dissemination of Arabic letters to the Western world. These all sound fascinating. There's most of them are next year. The one that isn't, the Janet Fitch, it gets my immediate attention today. But otherwise, that's it. That's a long delayed mail haul after a drought, and we'll hope for more by the end of the day. But until then, I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.